for the South Mendocino Coast area that would accomplish all of the scientific goals of the MLPA Master Plan while minimizing the negative cultural and socioeconomic effects and minimizing the sacrifices and hardships of the stakeholders. This proposal includes many compromises and sacrifices, and I truly believe it is the best possible plan for our area. And so I come to you to ask for your support. A formal commitment from you will go a long way towards influencing the people who will ultimately make the historic and possibly permanent choices of MLPA closures and restrictions. And it must be done soon. The next meeting and possibly the last meeting of the MLPA stakeholders, which is the very lowest echelon, is 1 week from today and the Wednesday after. So I'm afraid I'm too late to get a position to take with me to that one, but soon.
Questions, Mr. Jacobs?
Yeah.
Supervisor.
Mr. Jacobs, thank you for your efforts to bring this before us. I'm a little bit concerned as to how you would like to see the supervisors address this particular issue. We're certainly not experts on this particular topic, although there's been obviously a great deal of involvement over time. So what would you suggest the supervisors do? Propose a letter of support or a letter of concern? What is your recommendation? What's this, and would you indicate to the supervisors whether you have any input from the city of Point Arena on this?
My first choice would be a resolution supporting my proposal, much the same as the Point Arena City did. There was conditional, of course, upon other circumstances and situations. But I would appreciate, if that's not possible, a resolution of a more general sense that would take a strong stand against these very large and very rigid proposals, maybe something to the effect of approving a minimum size. The problem is the science guys put up their data and things in such a way that they have proposed that there is a minimum size and a distance between them, but instead of saying a maximum size, they say a preferred size. Very politically correct. And the people that are in what some people call the bus driving positions in this issue, who are backed by big money, are pushing for the maximum size, what I would call a maximum size, what they call the preferred size, which are pushing 12 miles long. In the case of Point Arena, they're pushing two about 4 mile long proposals. And I'm trying to get that at least cut in half and have some of the very strong, rigid restrictions of no possession and no take, at least relieved, so that we can continue using the port for commercial fishing.
Thank you.
Let me real fast flash a map at you of what these are not even the current proposals, okay, because they've already changed these, but they haven't allowed me to see the new ones yet. This is a composite of the Mendocino portion that runs from Alder Creek at the top to the Wallowa River at the bottom. And what I've done is, as a composite, I've drawn all of them on one paper. And you can see there's 2 blocks, one high, one low, leaves 5 miles open for the port of Point Arena. It's just awful. And my proposal is in the lighter blue down here. Flip that around so audience can see it. But again, this is already out of date. I don't know what the new proposals look like yet. But,
Okay.
I have a position. Does that answer your question?
Thank you. Yes.
Any other questions from the board? What's the feeling of the board of, on his speaker card, Mr. Jacobs has asked for supervisors to take a formal position on backing our proposal. This, obviously, we can't act on this today, but what's the feeling on maybe having the CEO's office examine it, bring it back, or being sponsored by one of the supervisors? What's the feeling, sir?
Chairman, I was on the MLPA back 7 or 8 years ago, and somehow it's been reconstituted. I'd like to have us take another look at this and see where we can go, working with the CEO's office, and see if there are ways in which we can partner with the City of Point Arena in terms of some of their activities.
Okay, I understand it's somewhat time-sensitive, so...
Right, we'll be on it pretty quickly.
Okay.
Okay,
So-
again, we may have problems here with the timeline on this, particularly since we have no board meetings. We don't have a board meeting every Tuesday from here on out for a while. So if that makes, to the chair, if that makes some sense,
Sure. Yeah,
we'll take
you-
note of this.
And you'll be carrying this forward to the CEO's office?
To the extent that,
Okay.
we can possibly do so.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jacobs, for your presentation and your awareness on the situation, bringing it forward. Okay, we do have a notice public hearing at 10:30, adoption of a resolution approving an application and contract extension for funding from the general allocation of the State Community Development Block Grant Program and authorizing the execution of a grant agreement and any amendments thereto with the State of California for the purpose of this grant. To the CEO's office.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is the latest response to the latest NOFA, or Notice of Funding Availability, for our CDBG grants. The CDC, our local CDC, and Greg, if you wouldn't mind coming forward, our office was working with CDC and Craig, specifically, to talk about what our opportunities were to move forward with this application. We did consider some issues relating to sewer laterals originally. We talked about housing. We talked rehabilitation, we talked about Native American housing, and we talked about doing a 10% set aside for rehabilitation of restroom facilities to be ADA compatible in veterans facilities in unincorporated areas. So CDC did conduct the required workshop, sent notices out to application, and Craig is here today to report to us the results of that local hearing.
Craig Schlatter, Community Development Manager at the Community Development Commission of Mendocino County. We had a local design phase public hearing on February 8th, 2008. It's a requirement under CDBG regulations. We had two organizations show up at this meeting. CDC has a local application process that it does every year in cooperation with the CEO's office. We had the public hearing on the 8th. We had the two organizations show up, and only one application was submitted on February 19th. That's what you have in front of you, is an application for $500,000 for the housing rehabilitation program throughout the county of Mendocino. Of this, there will be a 10% set aside for veterans buildings ADA upgrade, and the rest of it is a housing rehab program for those homeowners wanting to